Hello there, this is Mr. Brass, and today we're going to be talking about the Inquisition. When we think of power-hungry nonsense, we think of punishing people for heresy. Funny enough, for about 800 years, the church really didn't bother heretics unless they were high-profile cases. Generally, if you weren't a threat to the Pope, you were allowed to have heretical beliefs. In the 12th century, though, there was a major shift in the usual laid-back attitude. The start of the First Crusades can be said to have caused religious extremism by people who didn't want to travel all the way out to the Middle East to weed out the Muslims, and so they targeted the Jews as they viewed them as heretics. Church laws at the time had protected the Jews. That overall didn't stop the mobs of extremists from killing thousands. Even though bishops were protecting Jews, that couldn't stop the mob. It was a common fear that you'd be hurt if you allowed heretics to live peacefully amongst you, and so people reported it quickly. The church needed a new process for dealing with heretics like the ever-growing Cathars, and they came up with a legal process known better today as the Inquisition, which was pretty fair on the whole. While the church accepted that an unrepentant heretic deserved death, they wanted to offer heretics chances to come to the faith. Inquisitors were simply individual agents who went to areas with large amounts of heresies and worked in accordance with secular and church authorities in sorting matters out. They used the latest legal techniques, which consisted of them appointing a lay judge to investigate the crime, interview witnesses, examine the evidence, and reach a verdict. This was much better than the older trial by ordeal method. Basically speaking, with heresy, the lay judge would be an inquisitioner, but who was appointed by the Pope, and this system of doing business would be good that it would spread to the secular system, and it is seen in the criminal investigations in Europe today. Inquisitors followed strict rules and only seriously punished people who stubbornly refused to change or were repeat offenders whom could get life imprisonment. Second chances were a must. Mercy was to be given to heretics who gave themselves up. Arrest would be made and interrogations would be done. Torture was very rare, and generally speaking, if someone was found guilty of heresy, he or she were given a chance to recant and were just required to do a lenient self-punishment to themselves, aka a penance. The worst that the church could really do is give up a heretic to the secular authority, whom would kill the heretic. The church didn't kill heretics themselves. Executions in of themselves were rare, only happening in 5% of cases in the surviving records, and they were reserved generally for high-ranking heretics and relapsed ones. Now, even so, we generally have moral objections to this. Like, how could they punish people like that over religious beliefs? Well, a first thing you have to keep in mind is not to be a presentist in regards to history, aka judging history by your own moral standards. Religion back then was a public and shared ideal that united communities to help them survive. Well, that is all for today. This is Mr. Brass saying goodbye and get wise.